Hello everyone. Today, we're diving into an incredible story, the return of Theodore Roosevelt's pocket watch, stolen back in 1987. The silver pocket watch was a prized possession of Theodore Roosevelt, a keepsake given to him by his sister and her husband in 1898 before he became president that would travel with him around the world and end up at Sagamore Hill, his home on Long Island, New York, and now a National Historic Site. But in 1987, it went from museum piece to pilfered prize when someone stole it from an unlocked case at the Theodore Roosevelt Inaugural National Historic Site in Buffalo, New York, where it was on loan. It was mystery that endured 36 years until it turned up at a Florida auction house last year and was seized by federal agents. On Thursday, it was returned to public display at Sagamore Hill as the National Park Service and the FBI triumphantly announced it was back home during a ceremony featuring Roosevelt's great-grandson, Tweed Roosevelt. "This was feel-good news," Tweed Roosevelt, 82, said Friday in a phone interview. "For me, it kind of felt like almost as if a piece of TR's spirit being returned to Sagamore Hill, like a little bit of him was coming back. And so I felt that was really cool." Growing up, he said he didn't know about the watch and only learned about it vaguely after it was stolen. He called it unremarkable in appearance, but priceless to his great-grandfather. "As it turns out, this isn't just any old pocket watch," he said. "It was a watch that TR placed great sentimental value on." The mystery of the watch's disappearance, however, is not fully solved. It is still not clear who stole it and how. The Park Service and FBI only released details of its reappearance this week after an investigation. The agencies did not return messages seeking comment Friday. Roosevelt, who was president from 1901 to 1909, apparently had the watch with him at the Battle of San Juan Hill in Cuba during the Spanish-American War and during future exploits, including wild game hunting in Africa and exploring the Amazon in South America, according to the Park Service.
The turn of the century saw Theodore Roosevelt and his famous Rough Riders return from the war in Cuba.
In 1898, just before Theodore Roosevelt left for Cuba to fight in the Spanish-American War, his sister Corinne and her husband gave him this silver pocket watch as a gift.
The principles for which we stand.
Roosevelt, still just 3 years away from ascending to the presidency, had the watch with him as he led his Rough Riders to victory in the Battle of San Juan Hill. The token stayed with him during a hunting trip to Africa and while he explored the Amazon. He even mentioned it in his book, Through the Brazilian Wilderness.
What we find remarkable about this photo is this is a silver Waltham pocket watch with a leather strap.
Jonathan Parker is superintendent of Sagamore Hill National Historic Site, Roosevelt's home on Long Island, where the watch is now on display for the first time in decades.
What's remarkable about the watch are the events and the places that President Roosevelt took this watch over the course of his life, both before he became president of the United States, during and after.
The watch had a mysterious 36-year journey after it was taken from a display in Buffalo back in 1987. It showed up at a Florida auction house last year. The owner contacted Sagamore Hill to find out if it was real.
We know from both the physical condition of the watch, the individual and unique markings inside the watch, that it is the watch that was originally here at Sagamore Hill and then loaned to another federal museum in Buffalo, New York, where it was stolen from in 1987.
The FBI returned the watch to the National Park Service last week, and now it appears that its travels are complete, with a permanent display at its owner's former home.
What excites us the most about it is the opportunity for us to share its stories and the stories of Theodore Roosevelt, and how remarkable it would be to ride in the pocket of Theodore Roosevelt, if you will, and be a witness to history.
The watch, made by the now-defunct Waltham Watch Company in Massachusetts, appears like many pocket watches of its day, with a plain silver exterior and no etchings. But the inside reveals its significance, with engraving that says, Theodore Roosevelt, and, from Dr. and Cr., referring to Roosevelt's brother-in-law and sister, Douglas Robinson Jr. and Corinne Roosevelt Robinson. When it showed up last year at Blackwell Auctions in Clearwater, Florida, owner Edwin Bailey was excited by the engraving but skeptical it was real. It had no supporting documents with it, and the general mindset among art dealers and collectors is to verify before getting your hopes up, he said. Bailey said he did not know the watch was stolen, and the person who brought it to him didn't know where it came from. He declined to identify the person, saying he never divulges the identities of his consignors. He only would say the person was an art dealer and collector in Buffalo in the 1970s and 1980s. The collector told Bailey that he received the watch from another man who used to borrow money from him to go picking for antiques and other collectibles in the late 1980s. The picker would leave the watch with the collector as collateral, Bailey said. Despite the watch's return, the mystery of its theft remains unsolved. Details about its reappearance were only recently disclosed after an investigation by the National Park Service and the FBI. If this story made you smile, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more quirky and incredible tales. And who knows, maybe next time we'll talk about a surfing kangaroo or an elephant that plays the trumpet. Thanks for being with us, and see you soon for another adventure on News Today.